Right, so basically it's like 1 a.m. and like the first time I tried to upload this, it got age restricted. So like I'm just gonna try and censor more, and I'm just gonna to censor things. I'm just gonna use a picture of Susan herself, and if there's any words I need to censor, I'll probably just dub them over with something. I hope everyone enjoys my half-assed attempt at making a Christmas background. The Santa hat didn't fit me, so it's part of the background now. Welcome back, everyone. Merry Crimbo. Today we're doing a movie which I've wanted to do for a long time now and only just gotten around to it. Probably a contender out there for my favourite horror movie. Not very Christmassy, we'll get onto that at another point in the month. 1989 Tetsuo the Iron Man. It's a sci-fi body horror that probably takes a little bit of inspiration from things like the 1986 The Fly. However, this is still an incredibly original movie. There's a lot of symbolism in this movie, but we'll go into more detail about the meaning of it later. This film's soundtrack is also really interesting. It does a great job of invoking a really gross industrial feel. It's actually kinda easy to draw comparisons to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre soundtrack. The story a lot of the time is told with little to no dialogue, and a lot of things just aren't explained. So I'll try to explain the plot to the best of my abilities, but don't judge me if I get a few details wrong. We open on this guy who's actually played by Tsukamoto, the director. He's going into his warehouse garage thing that's very messy, and we get a taste of his hobbies, I guess, which includes shoving metal pipes into open wounds. After this, he sees that the wounds have been infested with maggots. Also, I should mention, this character's actual name in the proper credits is The Metal. So when I say that name again, that's who I'm talking about. So he freaks out when he sees this, and in a panic he runs into the road, in which he's then hit by a car. And we get a really cool shift in tone as a sequence plays out with some sweet saxophone music, may I add. Over the opening titles we see our main protagonist, Tetsuo, who is the one who hit the man with his car. He's having what seems to be a breakdown cut together with industrial machinery footage. Cut to him shaving in a mirror, and we get a scene that's very reminiscent of The Fly. He sees a small metal wire poking out of his cheek. He tries to pluck it out, but it spurts blood everywhere. Later he's at a train station and he sits next to a woman whose body then starts turning into metal. She then chases him through the station, and with some stop motion effects, they speed down the road at 1,000,000 miles an hour. It'll make sense later. He gets chased into the garage and they fight, to which his arm then goes all metal-like and beats her. So that weird scene is over, and we get a really weird unexplained dream sequence of his later revealed girlfriend doing a sexy dance while covered in metal. He then wakes up and we don't question it. So then him and his girlfriend just hanging out, you know, just casually seductively feeding each other off a fork. However, Tetsuo seems to be a little uncomfortable as he hears these horrific metal sounds. Yeesh, sounds like my very damaged hairdryer. He then runs into the bathroom and locks the door after... So his girlfriend then persuades him to open the door, and he eventually does. It's then revealed that his face appears to be a horrific amalgamation of metal. She then freaks out and stabs him in the neck. At first it appears as though he's dead, and after this she kills herself. However, Tetsuo then wakes up. So now he's almost completely made of metal. So then we get a flashback of Tetsuo and his girlfriend after they hit the metal at the start with their car, and then it appears that he survived the car crash. The flashback shows his doctor telling him that he now has pieces of metal inside his brain, which is causing him to mutate. So it's almost like somehow the metal gave Tetsuo this virus? I'll explain more about how I think that might have happened later on during the analysis portion, but for now, it's pretty up in question on how they actually transferred the disease. So cut to present day when the metal does the same thing Tetsuo and that woman did at the start, when he speeds down the road. During this, anything he touches is melted down and fuses to his body, with some really neat looking stop motion. Not really realistic or convincing effects, but still very charming. So they both chase each other down the road, and we finally see how they're moving like this, with engines on their heels. They try and fight each other, but with their fusing abilities, they're both permanently fused together, forming one giant metal blob. Since they're now one, they make an agreement to turn the entire world into metal. The movie ends with this giant metal blob just speeding down the highway. So, what the fuck does this all mean? I'ma be real with you guys. pretty much the rest of this video isn't going to be able to be in this cut of the video. I'll keep the original up so that if you can access age restricted stuff, then yeah, you can go back and watch that, because I do recommend it if you can. But for now, you're just gonna have to settle with this. I'm really sorry once again. But anyway, that was Tetsuo the Iron Man. It's definitely my favorite Japanese horror movie, and possibly up there on my favorite horror movies just in general. I promise that next week we'll do Christmas stuff, okay?